Hey, how's it going? It's Rocky. Welcome to the Diaries of an Average Futures Trader. For today, I wanted to basically talk about the ES, which is the S&P 500. I wanted to talk about the theoretical best trade of the day. My main goal is just to show you what is the best possible ideal trade of the day using the indicators that I use. And my main goal for this is not so much to promote the way I'm trading. It's just a way of reviewing trades so you can validate your own trades with the way you're trading. So right now, it's Tuesday, October 10th. It's 15 minutes since the US market closed. And before we look at the ES itself, wanted to just show you how the market did for the day. And this is CNBC. You can see even though with all the issues that are occurring in Israel and Palestine, you still have the markets pretty strong, which is a bit surprising. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 134 points, S&P 500 up 22 points, which is half percent, and the Nasdaq up 78.61 points, which is also a little over half percent. So now let's go back to the chart. And as mentioned, this is ES, which is S&P 500. I just, looking from bird's eye view, if you were to say, all right, which one is the best trade? Obviously, the one that you're going to point to is this one right here, right? That's definitely the best trade of the day, and everyone hopes that you hit the very bottom and exit at the very peak. But we'll analyze that specific time zone there, and we'll just zoom in a little bit to that area there just to better understand what's going on. So looking at this, I'm just gonna add the vertical line of when I would have, just the very bottom, right? So you would have entered on this candle. So based on that candle, we'll just add that. And then there would have been two exits that you would have possibly taken. First exit is right here, exit number one. And then second exit probably here. Let me take that back. I guess three exits, right? The third exit would have been just the very peak right there. So what we'll do is we'll draw vertical lines there, and what we'll do is I'll show the indicators what they look like. And the reason I'm doing this, these are all in theory, of course. It's hindsight 2020 trading, but this will give you confidence to enter the next time that you see these indicators, or specifically whatever indicators you're using, right? Because it's a good way to, this is my way of manual back testing or validating my strategy. All right, so we'll change that to orange because when I exit long, I denote that by the orange line. Okay, and there you go. All right, so now we're gonna go back to the two screens that I normally use when I trade. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. And normally when I trade with a time-based chart on the left. So this is a 5-minute candle. And on the right, I use Heikin-Ashi tick-based. And with this tick-based chart, normally I trade the YM, but with the ES, it's a much higher volume. That's why I'm using a higher tick count. So for this specific one that I'm using, the tick count is, let me share that. So there's the tick count there. So the tick count that I'm using here is 3200 T. Let me know if you've had success with a different tick count during the ES. Again, it's been a while since I traded the ES, but when I used to trade the ES, I would use it with 3200 ticks. Okay, so back to the full screen here. The reason I'm going to zoom in to that area, at least on the time-based side, that is of interest to us, if where we would have entered. And the reason that I wanted to talk about, I mean, draw those vertical lines, is so we can look at the time. So, for example, this one was at the 645 candle. So what I'll do is I'll go to the tick base indicator, and I will also zoom in for the 645 candle. And with the tick base, it doesn't go by time, right? It goes by the number of ticks. So Just we'll look for the actual 645 candle. So it would have been this one right here. So that would have been the entry at 645. And then going back to the time-based indicator, the three exits would have been 735, 815, and 910. So 735, 815, 910. Let's see if I remember all that. So we'll look for the 735. 735. Here you go. So 735 would have been, let me zoom in a little more so it's clearer. 735 would have been right here. And then the other one was 815. 815, okay, let's zoom that in. So the 815 candle would have been this one. And the other one is 910. Look at 910. So this is the 909, this is 913. So 910 would have been on this candle right here. All right. Okay, now I can change those to the same colors of orange. Oops. Change this to orange as well. And change this first one to orange. Okay. All right. So I'm just doing that setup just to see how I do it when I do validate my trade. Maybe in the future, I'll just draw the lines beforehand, but I wanted to show you that this is the first time I'm looking at it. All right, so let's look at the time-based chart really quickly. So this is a time-based chart, and as I mentioned, I would have entered on this candle ideally, and then if we look at the actual indicators there to see if my entries are the same, and if you're curious, that's all in the description. It's how I've done my previous trades in the past. If I entered here, you can see on the MACD that it's starting to diverge, and you can see that based off of the histogram. So based off the histogram, it's starting to get larger, right? A brighter green. And then on the stochastic RSI, you can see that it was on the overbought side, which is when I like to go long. In reality, I probably would wait maybe one or two more candles just to get some validation or confirmation that yeah, it's time to go long. But with this one, I'm just showing the ideal bottom, what it looks like as far as the indicators go. So that's the time base. And then if we switch to the tick base indicator for that same candle, I'm gonna zoom in on that one. So with that same candle, you can see barely here on the MACD, but crossover had occurred. You can see it going from a red to a green histogram on here. And then also on the stochastic RSI, it was, you know, getting to the overbought side, which when I would have gotten long. So with this one, I think based on what we see on both the time base and tick base, I would have waited a few more a few more minutes to enter. But with this, it shows to you that the rules still apply for the ES and entering. And now going to the tick base, I mean, just to look at the chart itself, right? I would have entered on that blue candle, and let's just say that entry roughly was about, let's just say 43.75 or so. Let's just use that as an entry. And let me just change that number, 43.75. So let's say that was our entry, and then let's look at our possible exit here. Uh, Again, ideal trading, right? Let's just say you exited at 44.02, which is pretty significant. 44.02. Okay. And then I'll bring the calculator here just to ideally understand what that would have been like. Okay. All right. So let's put it up here so we can, oops, my bad. so we can see this and calculate it properly. Okay, let's say you exited at 44.02 and then you entered at 43.75. Oops, 43.75. So that would have been 27 points of the ES. And if I understand this correctly, it's $50 per point because it's $12.50 per tick, and four uh, each point has four ticks. I think I did that right. So really, it'll be 27 times 50. That trade right there would have been, your best trade only on exit number one, right? Would have gotten you $1,350. I'm not going to go through the math on the next one, but I just wanted to point out, if you were able to handle this drawdown right here, which I don't recommend because I'm always a fan of just taking profit. But let's say you just took some profit for 50% of what you have and then let it run some more, and then you could have exited on this next peak right here, and then another drawdown that could occur right here, and then you could exit on the next one. So yeah, you could have exited another 17 points later. So just to do the math, 17 times 50, that would have been 850 additional dollars. So it's really what your strategy is. I, for one, because I'm doing the evaluation at the moment, I just try to take the max profit that I can. However, when I have more buffer, I can go back to my usual way of trading. So what I would do is I'll take some off and I'll let some run. Try to see if that runner could get you more profits. Anyway, that's just a little analysis that I did there for the ES. Hope you enjoyed that. If you do trade the ES, I just figured I'd try to do an example of the ES because not a lot of people trade the YM, which is what I normally trade, and it's usually on the ES or the NQ, which is the NASDAQ. And then, as you know, I'm still doing my evaluation. I blew up my PAs last week, but just wanted to share how my evaluation is doing. So with my evaluation, basically I switched to, oops, give me a second. I switched to 25K accounts. I went through a journey of doing 100K static and 50K full, and then trying to realize which tool best served my purposes that works for my style. So right now I'm trying out the 25K accounts. So I need to get to 26,500, and right now you can see we're about roughly $300 to $400 from there. It's day number 4. So I have minimum 7 days to hit anyway, so I'm not trying to rush. It was a strong day of trading. You can see with the trade copier, I have 20 accounts and had a net profit of $602.52. I stopped posting these on social media because they're evaluation accounts, right? They're not actual money that I can withdraw. But once we're back to a point that we have PAs, which I'm hoping to have by early next week, then I can report the actual profits that I have there because that's the money that I can withdraw. So yep, thanks for joining me. Hope that was helpful to some of you again on, trade validation on basically the ES, right? And yep, give me some feedback and I'll see y'all on the next live content. I'm gonna try and do more of this daily, just looking at the bird's eye view, best trade of the day, and then just break it down to see if the indicators I'm using are working or not. All right, y'all have a good one. I will see you on the next one.